Yo, 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 yo.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're about to get started. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? Awesome. It's so cool to be here. It's good to see everybody. I've talked to so many of you. And I'm Paul Hickey, CEO of Data Driven Design. Welcome to the first ever Nashville Voice Conference. I'm pumped. Super pumped. I want to thank my team at Data Driven Design, Kate Hickey, Corner to Corner. Thank you, everybody. We have an amazing slate of featured facilitators, many of whom came in from out of state. Thank you to all of you. These guys believe in voice, and they believe in conducting a productive set of workshops. So we're going to be moving you all around, and it's going to be very modest, but we're bringing hopefully a lot of good content related to how businesses can use Alexa skills, Google Actions, and podcasts to become more efficient and effective, not only in their marketing efforts, but even behind the scenes in their internal operations and overall productivity. Alexa skills and Google Actions are apps built on top of voice devices like Echo and Google Assistant. And you can build them for just about anything. So for example, if I totally forgot my entire intro today, I could just say, Alexa, open Paul Hickey Nashville Voice Conference intro.
Hi, Paul. Are you trying to do your introduction at Nashville Voice Conference right now?
Yes.
What happened? Did you forget everything you were supposed to say?
I legitimately thought I might. Yes.
It's okay, Paul. If you forgot all of the amazing statistics and data on businesses using voice assistants...
Okay, Alexa, stop. Alexa.
Just intro Marcus.
Alexa, stop. Okay, yes, I remember.
Okay, Paul. Good luck at
I remember Marcus, okay. Okay, obviously that was a little demo. I'm really excited again because we're at the beginning, the very beginning of something that's really going to shake the way businesses run. And if you remember back in like 1999, a lot of businesses didn't even have websites. But by 2003, it was pretty much unheard of for businesses not to have a website. We've hit another similar spot in our evolution as business people, entrepreneurs, and marketers, even in operations. So whatever our role or responsibility, we can all benefit from voice tech. At this point in time, a high level, I mentioned already Alexa skills and Google Actions are apps built on top of these devices. And while it's still early and new, you guys probably all know, the data shows that it's actually going to be expected that businesses have Alexa skills, Google Actions, and podcasts within the next 12 to 36 months. So the same way that we're all expected to have websites now as businesses, mobile apps, and social media pages, it's happening now. We're building these voice apps ourselves and for our clients. It's here, and today's conference is 100% geared around ways to understand how this technology can work for you. I work with a ton of small businesses. I'm really fortunate. I love doing that. A ton of small business owners and marketers. And I've constantly experienced the behavior that comes from being overwhelmed to try to keep up with the ever-changing aspects of digital strategy, content creation, design, marketing, and branding. I know this seems like just one more thing that we all have to do, so I'm very empathetic to that. But I really want you all to think today is the beginning of just getting the ball rolling on how these voice apps can actually make your lives easier. Don't think of it as just one more thing that you have to do. Think, how can we incorporate this and make all the things that we're already doing more efficient? I like the words practical and tactical to describe today's workshops. Kelly Wolf of Data Driven Design and Ann Amagrande of Grande AMA are going to have a workshop right here. You're going to learn about programs like Alexa for Business. That is a real program businesses can register for with Amazon to manage company devices and create private skills, which I think are really cool, only accessible to employees. You're going to learn why Alexa skills are the new websites. And ask Alexa how your web traffic is doing. And all of the devices are about to go off, so that's going to be comedy for the day. You can mute them if you want to on the little button on the top. With Stuart Crane and Paul Cornwell of Voice Metrics, you're going to learn about how to voice enable your data and apps, which I'm very excited about. And you're going to be able to get updates on how your business is performing. Audrey Wu of Haptic is here to talk about a lot of really cool stuff. Some similarities and differences between Alexa and Google Assistant, which I think is really interesting. And you'll hear a lot of data points from her making a case on why your business needs both. And talk about voice skills and actions, how they can be used in all verticals. Healthcare, real estate, marketing, professional sports, and more. Okay, so my team at Data Driven Design featuring Alan Willis, also Dan Cox of Metcon.com, Bryn Plummer of Nashville Entrepreneur Center, Courtney Rogers of Pathway WBC, and Danielle McGee of Black Business Boom. You're actually going to make your own Anchor podcast and use the RSS feed to walk away with your own Alexa flash briefing, which I'm, again, very excited about all of this. We'll see how all that goes. And if you don't know what to talk about, we have Spanky Moskowitz and my boy Dan Cox. They can really help you with some subject matter to talk about on your podcast. We have realtors, accountants, lawyers, pro sports front office staff, retail stores, digital agencies, and all kinds of small businesses here today. And of course, being Nashville healthcare professionals. So you'll learn from three of the most knowledgeable people that I know in Bradley Metrock, Matt Cybulsky, and Reed McClellan about the power of voice in healthcare. These guys are also hosts of the Voice of Healthcare podcast, and they have a summit coming up, the Voice in Healthcare Summit in August. So there's a ton of momentum and talk about how the younger generation, our kids, are not only asking Alexa everything, and families and interactive audio games, playing interactive audio games on it, but our kids are actually building their own Alexa skills. I could be wrong, and someone will correct me if I am, but I believe we have one 10-year-old in the room today from Georgia, Dan Winterberg, and his father, Bill. Dan, you're building Alexa skills for class projects, right? Yes. How awesome is that? So, of course it makes me think, though, that Dan is a real representation of what we all really need to understand today. When Dan and his classmates enter the workforce, they're going to expect that the company they work for has at least about 10 to 15 Alexa skills and are given a company-issued Alexa-enabled device to access the voice-based version of their company intranet. So it's new and revolutionary now, but I'm not here because of that. I'm here because it's practical, it's frictionless, it saves time, money, breeds productivity, which helps us all be more efficient, effective business people. So you can tell I'm super pumped about voice, and I'm having you all here today to learn, to hopefully take action at some point. It's going to take a while, but as well to support an amazing community organization in our Nashville community. Many of you are familiar with Corner to Corner, run by Will and Tiffany Acuff. Thanks to Shanna Berkeley for helping us get the word out about the event. All registration money is going to Corner to Corner. Will is also pumped about voice, so I'm not the only one.
We have our own flash briefing. We've already done this.
Yes, we have a flash briefing, Corner to Corner. So you can add the Corner to Corner flash briefing to your Alexa device and get updates from Will and Shanna and everybody at Corner to Corner. And we also have Nashville's very own entrepreneur extraordinaire and new very good friend of mine. So to keep the momentum going, I'd like to hand it over to the CEO and founder of Health Further, the founding partner of Jumpstart Foundry and the co-owner of the Nashville Soccer Club. Marcus Whitney, come here, man. Let's do it. You got to make up for me. You got to get everybody hyped now. Thanks, man.
Hey, man, can I ask you to do a favor and hold the mic and be the mic person? I'm not going to use the mic, but I do want to try to make this a little bit Q&A.
Yeah,
if that's
absolutely.
cool.
No,
all right.
100%.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. All right. Hi, everybody. How y'all doing? Can everyone hear me? Yeah. We're good? Okay, great. All right, so I'm super excited to be here, and Paul asked me to first, I think, attend, and then asked me to facilitate a workshop, and I was like, Paul, I know nothing about voice apps, so I can't really teach anybody about it, but I would be happy to come speak because I'm super inspired by what you're doing, hosting this here in Nashville. And so I'm going to take like 2-3 minutes, just kind of tell you my story, and then hopefully that inspires some questions that we can talk about that are not 100% voice specific, because you're going to have great workshops for the rest of the day, but maybe more about maybe the principles that are behind all this. So I moved to Nashville in September of 2000. I had one little 1-year-old and one baby on the way, and I was waiting tables, and I knew that wasn't going to work long term. And so in order to be able to take care of my family, I started the process of teaching myself how to code. So let's just kind of go back to that point in time. This is the year 2000. There are no smartphones. There is internet. Very few people have broadband. Bookstores still exist. Amazon hadn't put them out yet. And if you wanted to go learn how to code, there was no Code Academy. There was no Nashville Software School. You actually had to go to the bookstore, get a book, read it, take it home, and practice the stuff at home, right? There was nothing no intermediaries there. So that's what I did. I did that for 7 months, ended up taking some independent courses, going to user groups, and got my first job at a company called HealthStream here in town the day after my son was born. And that changed my life. I spent 7 years in the technology space as a doer. Worked for HealthStream for a year, worked for this agency called Keynote for a year, and then got my dream job at a very, very small company at the time called Emma, as an email marketing company. I was the 5th employee there, and didn't know I was stumbling into the greatest moments of my life. Learned how to manage people there, learned how businesses were run. Again, this is 2003 when this happened, so email marketing wasn't really a thing back then either. And so we were bringing email marketing to the market along with a couple of other companies around the country. And then 2007 hit. I had been at Emma for 4 years. We went from 5 people to 50 people. I was sort of starting to get a niche. In 2007 hit, and I asked the founders, my bosses, Clint and Will, if they would buy me a pass to this event called South by Southwest. And it wasn't like a super big event at the time. It was big in the music side, but the interactive digital part had not become big yet. This to me feels like what South by Southwest was in 2007, because we were there. It was when Twitter basically launched. So like the first real mainstream Twitter accounts were launched at that event, so I got one that day. I didn't realize it, but I was hanging out with Matt Mullenweg, who's the founder of WordPress, and he was just like peddling this little open source blog that he had, blog software that he had. Ended up meeting Baratunde Thurston, Chris Brogan. These people were nobodies at the time, and now they're some of the biggest personalities on social media. Didn't know it, but Gary Vaynerchuk was running around the room at the same time. Nobody knew who he was at that time. And so, when you come to these like early adopter things, you never know who you're sitting next to. Everyone needs to get that young man's card. You never know who you're sitting next to, right? And so that's one thing I would say about this event is make sure you make friends today, because some of the people in this room are going to end up being a big damn deal. Let's just start with that. The second thing is March of 2007, Twitter launched. And we were all getting these Twitter accounts, and it was a website, and it was all SMS because the iPhone hadn't launched yet. Steve Jobs introduced it that January, but nobody had one yet. It wasn't until the summer when the iPhone actually came out. So some people who were like really on the bleeding edge had Blackberries or even a Windows phone with a stylus, but nobody had like a true smartphone. And even with that, we were all like, oh my God, we're broadcasting to each other like where the other person is. And it's not just one-to-one text, it's to a group, and then we're all going to this bar, we're all going to this party. This is going to change everything. And then that summer, the iPhone came out. So basically changed my life forever. I realized I didn't just want to be a programmer. I wanted to like ride this wave of innovation, and that started my path into entrepreneurship. It really was super helpful that I was a practitioner first, that I knew code. That's always been helpful in my career. It continues to be helpful to this day. So I think the practical, tactical things that you're going to learn today are going to be super, super important for whatever future you have. Even if you decide you don't want to do the tactical side of things, knowing it is always an advantage. But I just want to go back to the fact that 2007 is only 12 years ago. Like, there is no narrative for how much has changed in the world in the last 12 years, right? There is no narrative to explain how 13 years ago, not one person in this room had ever swiped or pinched the screen of a phone before. And now it is all you do, even while you're driving, right? So we know how much change can happen in such a small period of time when a game-breaking interface is unveiled to the world, right? It's already happened with the smartphone, and that's really what voice is. And so we're all gonna like talk about, hey, you could use voice for this, you could use voice for that. I'm just going to put it out there. Nobody knows what voice is going to be used for yet. We have no idea. We're all just playing around, just like we were playing around with Twitter in 2007. We had no idea it was going to take over the way that news worked around the world, right? We had no idea that that was going to be the breaking news platform and everything else was going to follow it, right? So nobody knows what's going to happen, but as you start being a practitioner with it and playing with it today, you're going to start to think about, ooh, how would the world work in an environment where voice is the primary interface, right? What happens when I no longer get a full page of listings every time I search Google? I get one thing back. How does that change the dynamic? How do I even show up in this world? How do I compete with Google, Apple, Facebook as if they're not going to be wanting to, be in this environment? What's the voice experience going to be like on Amazon Alexa versus Google? Because they're not going to be the same, right? So all these different questions are things that are going to be unveiled in time, but we don't have the answers to them today. All we know today is this is emerging, it's cool, it's accessible, and you're all in the room here to learn about it. One other thing that could be depressing or could be really exciting depending on how you think about it. I was super fortunate to get to build my career as a programmer. The thing that really helped me be able to do that was open source software. Okay, so it was the fact that I didn't have to pay Sun Microsystems or Microsoft a buttload in software licenses in order to be able to learn how to program. I could grab this free software, and not only was it free, but it came with a community of people who were like, yeah, let me teach you this, let me teach you that. And eventually I became part of that community, and it basically is responsible for my career, right? The open source software movement is responsible for my career. The number of technology innovations that have happened since open source, so we're talking about cloud computing, we're talking about the smartphone. Now we're talking about apps that build apps. When Paul said I'm founding partner of Jumpstart Foundry, most of you probably don't know what that is, but it's a venture capital fund. It's a seed and Series A venture capital fund in the healthcare space. We've got about 90 companies, and we look at thousands of companies every single year. All I ever do is look at companies and decide on which companies we're going to make bets on. And here's, generally speaking, what I think is happening. Because this is not just about voice. This is about artificial intelligence. This is about a whole suite of technologies that are converging at one time. And I don't mean to depress anybody. We're never going to stop automating everything. And so that is going to have a massive, massive impact on the economy. And it's going to have a massive, massive impact on how we value humans. But we haven't always valued humans the way that we do today. The way we value everybody today is an industrial revolution innovation, right? The hourly wage. It wasn't always hourly wage. There used to be like kingdoms and fiefdoms and like serfs and all sorts of crazy stuff like that, and chiefs, and right? So we weren't always talking about fair wages and salaries and benefits, and healthcare as a benefit was an innovation that came from the World War when wages were frozen. And you had to find a way to be able to incentivize people to stay at your job because you couldn't raise the wage, and so you started giving them benefits. None of this stuff has been here forever. And I'm just here to tell you we're never going to stop automating things, and that's going to put a lot of things out of business. A lot of businesses out of business, a lot of jobs out of business, but it's also going to create a new set of opportunities. And this is where I think voice is super, super important, and why I was so excited to see some of the workshops that you had today is I'm never going to be able to beat Amazon at being the everything store. But Amazon is never going to beat Marcus Whitney at being the Marcus Whitney store. Does that make sense? But you have to be present, right? So why did I like your demo? Because you asked Alexa something and it knew the answer. The question is not like you're going to learn how to program Alexa. Okay, fine. You learn how to do that. But pretty quickly, you're going to try to find someone else to do that for you. Let me just tell you how this is going to work, right? You're not going to want to be sitting there all day programming Alexa to do this stuff, right? The real question is, when someone asks Alexa a question and you want to be the answer, what do you have to say?
Here is a question.
You said that was going to happen. Should I wait? Or should I just say, Alexa, stop?
What would you like to do next?
She's muted now.
She's muted? Okay, cool. So the real question is, what do you have to say, right? What do you have to say? Why is it valuable for someone to ask Alexa a question and for you to be the person in charge of the response, right? And that is a practice, right? That's a practice. Everything that I've seen in technology, starting with email marketing and then into Twitter and Facebook and mobile phones and all these things, has all been about waking up every single human to this idea that what you say has value, but not every one of us can get there, right? It's more of an inside job than anything, right? How do you bring out that really unique, super valuable thing in you that creates value in a world where everyone is looking for something, right? You've got a tribe out there, but you've got to figure out what you want to say to that tribe so that you can engage with them. So anyway, that's about all I have to say. And I have some time for Q&A, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I can't answer any questions about voice. I've never made a voice app ever, but...
How about one question? We have time for one question.
Okay, cool.
Anybody? Question for Marcus.
There's got to be one.
Okay, Stuart.
What's the most exciting startup that you're working on right now?
The most exciting startup. See, I'm going to be on camera, and I've got 90 of them, and I can't win that. So I would say as a suite of technology, what's really exciting right now is sensors. They're getting smarter, they're getting smaller, and they're getting more programmable, right? And so the applications for them are getting to be really, really incredible. And I think a lot of the things that we're taking for granted, when we talk about driverless cars, we're talking about sensors, right? When we're talking about health and wellness and how to how we're really going to attack chronic diseases, we're talking about sensors. Remote patient monitoring in healthcare is going to be almost entirely about sensors, right? Because it's the only real way to have clinical quality data, right? Is to get these sensors to a point where they're clinical grade. So yeah, I would say the overall world of sensors is super exciting right now. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate y'all. Have a good day.
Just really quickly, we just have a gift that we wanted to give you for coming out. Paul and Marcus hooked up through Twitter, so again, social media plug there. I know you're all excited for Paul to stop being in your feed with the thousands of facilitators that we have today. So, but I just remember it just marks the new
I'm not
content.
sure.
Oh, somebody read the thank you economy. Okay. So this is my favorite sports team, Tottenham Hotspur. Good job. I saw it.
Hold
Good
it up.
job.
Hold it up.
All right.
All right, here we go.
That's good.
Thanks, brother. Nice
Thank you,
job.
man.
Really
That's
appreciate
awesome.
it, man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.